Very
Hello, guys.
hello. Yes. Hi.
So we didn't just talk for the last 10 minutes without being live.
Yeah.
That definitely didn't happen.
It's all good.
We definitely planned this out. Welcome.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me pop this in the Discord server, let people know um, that we have actually gone live.
Yes, we're
Um,
here.
Hello. I saw your guys' comments. I saw a couple coming through, and I was like, oh, okay. Hello.
No.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to rehash our
We'll
conversation we
redo
just
this.
had
Mhm.
and talk about the type journey of Aimee. Aimee
Uh-huh.
has been on the YouTubes for a little while now, but what was it, like a year ago you posted the INTJ video, and then
Yes.
uh, kind
Yep.
of
Yep.
became pretty well known as like another female INTJ. It was like kind of an exciting thing in the MBTI sphere. Because, yeah, there's not a whole lot of female INTJ representation. So people are like,
No.
woo. Um, and you've gone on a little bit of a journey since then.
Yeah.
But before
Yeah.
we get into that, do you want to plug your channel? I did link it down below, by the way, guys. So click the
Yeah.
link
Yeah.
and go
Yeah, I
subscribe.
mean, it's just the my YouTube channel that also has MBTI content, so ABY, my Instagram and my Twitter as well. Those are like the three. Oh, I have a TikTok too. TikTok's a new thing that's going too, so I have all that going. And yeah, I also have typing sessions up. So if anybody's interested, then yes, I do that as well. That's pretty much it. All sorts of
Yes.
personality content. Mhm.
And her TikToks are awesome, by the way. They are hilarious, so you should definitely check them out. Sometimes informative, so there's a mixture.
It's an interesting mixture.
Yeah, for sure. So can you explain to us again, but this time with
Yeah.
an audience, what your type journey was like, finding out what your
Yes.
type was to where you're at now?
Yeah, so I think it was last year around June is when I put up my first INTJ video. And before that, I did do a 16 personalities test as everybody does, and I did come out an INTJ. So and then I took the MBTI one, the official MBTI paid one, and I also got INTJ. And then I did have this idea that, like maybe I should just like post a video talking about my experience as an INTJ, and I didn't think anything of it, no planning whatsoever. And I, when I uploaded it, it got a lot of positivity, but it also had a lot of negativity too, from people just looking at my shit like, you're clearly not an INTJ. And I was like, okay, like, what does that even mean? Like, what do you mean I'm not? How can you tell me I'm not an INTJ when I took the test? Like, that's kind of like my mentality going into this. But then people were like nice enough to be like, okay, so there's such things as like, typing sessions, and talking with famous people. Eric's typing sessions were the ones that were highly recommended. So I did do that. He originally typed me as an ENTJ, and that was cool. And I started to read the books, like the actual books, as opposed to just filling my head with all sorts of YouTube stuff. And when I read the books, I was like, okay, wait, hold up. It gave a whole new light to the cognitive functions. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't even think I'm any kind of a thinking type. So I went back to Eric, who was the only person that actually brought up the possibility that you're possibly an ESFP, because any thinking tests that I give you, you cannot answer them at all. The only reason why he kind of typed me as an ENTJ was because like obviously my demeanor was very like TE like, and it was really hard to look at me and be like, that's an ESFP. So yeah, but after like discussing it, there's like a whole video of this where I do the thinking, like the TI tests and everything, and I miserably failed at all of it. So and then I was like, okay, cool. ESFP is completely fine. I get it. And it did make sense. It's not like I just blindly was like, okay, cool. I looked at my life and I was like, okay, I think I typed myself completely upside down. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then I just talk about that on my channel a lot. For anybody who's possibly mistyped, I think they enjoy my content just to like double check.
Yeah, I think that I'm I'm actually really excited because I feel like it's becoming less and less like taboo to be mistyped. Like I feel like it's okay to put out there that you think you're a certain type and then realize later on in time, like, oh, wait, no, just kidding.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't think it was that big of a deal either to say I was not, but I realized how taboo it could be because it's like you just had like a whole channel talking about how you were an INTJ and you're clearly not. So what the hell is going to happen with all those videos? But it's all good. Yeah.
No, I think it's really good because it just goes to show that ESFP doesn't mean that you're a party animal.
Yeah, no. I mean, okay, maybe when I was younger, I will say, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like my mom, my parents were a little, they're like, girl, you need to like settle down, but not gonna lie. But I always thought that everybody did that, to be honest. And I think that with
Mm,
typology, that's the interesting thing is that we all tend to think like, well, doesn't everybody do that? Like,
right.
like doesn't everybody party like that, but then it's like I realize now that no, not everybody is like that, and I'm clearly different from the INTJ personality type that is definitely not like that. So it has been a journey.
Yeah, that's quite a huge difference. How would you say that extroverted sensing kind of like comes up in your life? The lead
It's
SE.
Yeah, no, I do have this like spontaneity in me where when I see something, I kind of jump into it and I need to interact with it. Another thing that in retrospect, a lot of my friends would tell me that I was definitely not intuitive in the sense that like I was very pretty much like the realest person you could ever meet. Like there was no like BSing with me. Like if there was something that needed to be done, I would just like jump right into it. I don't like fiction. I don't like abstract concepts. It was actually a surprise that I'm even in typology in general, because most of the times I'd be like, no. Even like the Enneagram and things, I'm like, yeah, no. And I was always like that. I was all like, I think it's just being able to see the like reality as it is, and just kind of enjoying all the experiences. And I don't know if this is my Enneagram, but I do kind of have this fear of missing out a lot of the
Mhm.
times, which is why I end up doing things too so much. I'm always living life like, but I didn't get to do this. Even with this live stream, I've never done a live stream before. And I'll just
Ooh.
like put everything, yeah, it's like I'll put everything down and just be like, no, but I need to do this because I've never done this before. What if I miss out on it? And that kind of like spontaneity towards life may not have been any kind of like introverted type whatsoever. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
maybe
probably
not even,
can't.
yeah, and maybe not even an intuitive type. Like I could never just like be at home by myself and just be in my thoughts ever. Like, I mean, unless I was really stressed. Yeah.
Mm. So that actually leads into a really interesting topic. How are you when you're stressed? Like, what kind of behaviors do you exude, and what kind of things do you pay attention to, or like what upsets you when you start getting stressed?
Yeah. I tend to, when I'm stressed, I will just stay home. Like, but like really obsess over just my life in general. As I mentioned before, I'm always jumping on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So there is this time where I don't know where I'm going with life. To be frank, like I'm like 30 years old right now and I feel like I haven't accomplished anything in my life because I'm always just doing random things. And when I'm stressed, I'll like really get disappointed in myself about that. I'll be like, oh my God, like you're not doing anything in your life. Your friends are already like, getting married and having families, having homes, and they're so far along in their career and you haven't thought of anything in the future. Like, what are you doing? That kind of
Mm.
like really negative thinking is usually me when I'm really stressed out. And I will really be strategic about what I want in my life though. Um, and for example, like I always wanted a really successful YouTube channel. So I don't think that'll ever change. Like my vision is there. It's just that when things happen in my day to day, I'll get distracted by that. And then the vision kind of fades a little bit. So I get really down on myself when I'm not thinking about those future consequences. And I thought that
Mm.
obsession with the future possibly made me an INTJ or somebody who had NI a lot stronger because I'm worrying about the future so much.
Right.
But in retrospect, I realized that it's like when you're healthy, though, when I'm healthy, I'm definitely not like that. So
Hmm.
it was something I had to accept in myself.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about is a really common thing for people who mistype. A lot of times they try to type themselves when they're in a darker place in their life,
Yeah.
because it's something to like help them understand themselves and like figure out like what's
Yeah.
going on in their brain and why they're being a certain way. And so, because I was talking to Tara Lynn, who was the ESTP who mistyped herself as an ISTJ, and she was saying it was like during that really dark period in her life that she thought she had all these introverted qualities and that she was very TE and all this stuff. And now she realizes, like, you know, she's an SE dom. She needs to like be out there and do things and like live her life and not like obsess over these things that she was obsessing for that small
Yeah.
period of time. But like it can feel like such a huge thing when you're in it, right? Like while you're thinking about your future and like realizing where your life is lining up with that vision, it can feel like all encompassing in those moments.
Yep.
So
Yep. Exactly.
what do you look like when you're at your most happy and healthy?
Oh, like I honestly just it's in my everyday. I just find the joy in like anything in my day to day. Like for example, like I'll go like jogging with my dog or something like that before I have to do typing sessions, and then afterwards I'll like just like randomly go to like Korean barbecue with my husband or something after he comes back home from
Nice.
work, or like it's just every day. And like, well, not anymore because like Disneyland is like closed, but like I mean it's not like you need to reserve tickets and stuff, but like yeah, it would just be like I would go to like Disneyland like late at night, like just because I randomly want to, or like I'll just like eat super heavy, you know, like at midnight or whatever. And I was always just kind of like, that's just my idea of fun. It's just like when I feel like doing it, I just want to engage with it. And I kind of have this like, you know, you only live once. It's like, you know, what's that one thing gonna do for you? Like, and that's what brings me joy. It's like just being able to just do new things and
Mhm.
just, yeah, just experiencing life for what it is.
So how maybe I'll just read this comment because I lost my question while I was saying it.
Oh, here we go.
So Mr. LG Duck says, I'm 43 and also have had those same feelings of not having achieved anything of significance. What is an achievement though? Have you helped close friends or family during hard times?
Yeah, so I have noticed that when people come to me, here's the thing. Okay, let me preface this. I think that to be honest with you, SE is a very like freebie function where it is rather boring and you almost don't appreciate it because it's like I have this like view of like, well, who doesn't see reality that way? Doesn't everybody just see reality for what it is, right? But the way I help other people, I realize now is that a lot of people would come up to me for my experiences. Like, because I've done so many things, they're always coming to me like, oh, like, how did you do this? Da, 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 da. Like, what was your experience with this? Did you do? And I guess that's how I help people is that I've also just lived life. I mean, that sounds kind of like narcissistic, but you know, I have been through a lot. So when people come to me, they feel like they can open up to me about their experiences and kind of see how I kind of manage those obstacles. And what is an achievement? To me, an achievement is just living life the way I want to, as authentically as possible. So I could have like no money, but if I am doing what I love to do, and if I can be as free as I can, that to me is a personal achievement.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of us that are hoping for that kind of future, like where we can just be happy, do things that we love to do, and I don't know. That's just real life achievement. I was just even talking to my boyfriend about that exact same topic earlier. He was going on a rant about it actually. Um,
Really?
yeah, he always goes on rants about society and whether or not society should be made a certain way or like whatever. And
Mhm.
earlier he was talking about basic income and how everyone should have um, a certain basic income so then they can work and do the work that they want to do. And then we just have this whole in-depth conversation about that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I have those moments too. Actually, related a lot to your YouTube video. Actually, when you were talking about like you just like because you did talk about how you wanted to stray away from MBTI and things like that, and you kind of wanted to do things of your own interest, and I related to that on a whole new level.
yeah.
Like I was like, yeah, like that's me. Like I lead my entire life that way. It's like I need to do the things that genuinely mean things to me. Otherwise, I just feel like I just shut down and I go into this like rabbit hole of like, who am I? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I've been these last few months. It's been really
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm like, get out of your head.
Yeah, I wish I was the kind of person that's like more like business like, and it's just like, like it's fine, like whatever, but it's like, no, no, it needs to be
Yes.
special to me.
I always try to make myself so businesslike because I'm like, okay, I
Yeah,
know that these feelings are not going to last. So let me
I
make
know.
out this plan and let me like plan, and I'll plan out like a whole month's worth of videos. And then I'll
Yep.
film one of them and I'll be like, but I don't want to film the rest of them.
I know. It's like if people don't get what it means when it's just like I just don't feel like doing it. Like there's no other explanation except I don't feel like it. Yeah.
It's so frustrating. I
Yeah, that
wonder
internal motivation. Yeah.
I wonder what it's like to be a thinker and just be motivated to do things all the time because you
Yeah.
logically know that you should do that.
Just laughing all the way to the bank.
Yes. So, and I already asked you this a
Uh-huh.
little bit, but what are you like in a workplace environment? And how is that different from you, like in your personal life?
Oh yeah, it's very definitely like tea heavy. I'm like very intense at the workplace. That is for sure. I can almost just change a whole demeanor. It'll just be like a whole 180, and I'll really go into that go 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 te mode. And I'm really good at it too. And in fact, when I at the places I've worked, they will always tell you that they remember Aimee just because of the intensity of it. And the reason why I was so intense was because nothing could stop me, and I had just this like insane like drive to just like just bulldoze the whole place I was working at. That's literally what it looked like. Is that I would just bulldoze the whole place and just turn it upside down, and like that kind of intensity. I mean, especially like girl, you're not getting paid that much, like that was like but it just made me feel good because I kind of thought like, like look at me, like being all like boss babe CEO right now, with my Starbucks. And I don't know, it was good for a while, but then after a bit, I realized that that's not what I wanted to do. And then I didn't like the uncomfortable parts of the business aspect, which was like firing people, corrective action, things like that kind of stuff I hated. And it like really, I remember the last time I had to have that kind of a conversation, I just said I didn't want to do it anymore. Like my heart literally just broke, telling this kid like, hey, like, I get it that you're just being you, but you need to meet your sales goals. And like, I'm sorry, but you're not. Like that kind of a conversation was just so heartbreaking for me. And that's why I had left the job. I just like cold turkey just quit. I was like, I'm out. Not rational at all, because like right after that the whole pandemic thing happened, and then I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
okay, cool, so now I'm not gonna get any unemployment. I'm not gonna have any job. Like,
Oh, man.
girl, like that kind of spontaneous that happens to me all the time. But I have faith that I can kind of like make my way, like I can manipulate the physical around me and just make it happen anyway. But yeah, like that's work, Aimee. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I relate to that last sentiment so very much
Yeah.
because I actually I took in a position for a while for like 4 months, and I had to fire and corrective action so many people in those
Right.
4 months that it became to the point where like all I could see in people was the negative, and I was
Yeah.
like always looking for the negative, and that's all I could think about, and that's all I saw anyone else around me at the same level like thinking about is all these negative things. Like we're also sales, so we do a lot of like you have to hit certain metrics, you need to like show up to work.
Yeah.
And we're just like completely inflexible. And because of that inflexibility, like we have to mess with people's lives and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I hated that.
I had to step down. I actually stepped down and went to a completely different position that's all about building people up.
Yeah, yeah. The interesting thing is that like in my work anyway, it was also very sales heavy. And I also kind of switched over to being like the people person. So anything that had to do with HR or like people related, I started to do that because I was like, I can't do the sales thing, like, or operational stuff. That's not me. But even then, of course, we're all in sales. So you do have to give uncomfortable conversations. And so I realized that maybe just this lifestyle is just not for me, period. It doesn't matter what department I switch into or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I relate to that a lot. Um, I'm curious, what are the kind of people at work that are the hardest for you to get along with?
That's a hard question because to be honest, I don't think I ever really like did not get along with anybody, but yeah, I guess people that tell me what to do. Like, I mean, that sounds like weird, but it's like I never really had a problem with like my team, right? It was always like people that tell me what to do is what I had a problem with. Like, so when people would try to control me or tell me I should do something, that was probably like my biggest obstacle. It's not really like people. So like there are certain oh, hold up. No, you know what I really hate is wait,
Yes,
hold up. Like it triggered like,
yes,
oh my God, I
yes,
hate I hate fake managers or like just like that,
yes.
like you know those people that like come in like at the workplace just like, hey Amy, so like today, like no, like don't talk to me that way. Because I know that after you do that, you're gonna tell me to do something I really don't want to do. Like I really just like that. I would just rather people just tell me like, hey, like, could you do this? Cool, bye. As opposed to like bringing that whole like, ugh, yeah.
Yeah, the whole like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, just tell me what you're here for, please."
Yeah, yeah. That's, you know, like I would love it if you just told me like this is what I honestly wanted, as opposed to that like run around. Ugh. Like,
He's got people skills.
I wish I did.
So
Are
I
you
now Oh, go ahead.
sorry? I was gonna ask you if you have any problems like that at all with like fake people, or I don't know what it is, but I have this like particular like disdain for that like expression. Like I don't know.
No, I do. It is it's what also like helped me solidify that my little sister is FI dominant, because we were
Mhm.
both like complaining about the same thing, which is that we really hate when people are like nice to your face, but they really don't like you. Like
Yeah,
that just pisses me off more than anything. Like
yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, like we have to be nice enough to like get our work done, but
Function. Yeah.
I don't need you to like go, no, please don't go there.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
give me the bare minimum of what we need and let's just move on.
Yeah. So I am too. That's interesting that like FITE is like ultimately results driven. Weirdly
Mhm.
enough, it's like I know that we're feeling types, but because we have that TE, ultimately we kind of want that like effectiveness at the end of it. I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, actually, it kind of bothers me, and people might think it's like an introverted trait, but it like bothers me when people call me with no warning while I'm in like the middle
Mm,
of like doing a task, um,
yeah.
and I'm like, and then you get on the phone with them and you find out what they wanted, and it was something that they easily could have texted you, and you could have like text responded while you were cleaning, and instead they like decided they had to call you because it was like it needs to be answered now, and it's like, "You're talking about a month from now. Can you please, like, not call me right now?"
Like, do not impose this on me right now, or at least just text
Exactly,
me. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. I'd much rather have a text, and I'll even, like, respond with voice messages, but just, like, let me
Yeah.
get back to you in my own time.
Yep. Yeah. Totally get that. Yeah.
So the commenter, too, says, "Is the wind turbine description of how extroverts get energy accurate? The battery example seems to work more for introverts." So I guess turbine means so long as there's wind, there's energy, and the battery needs to recharge to be used, and the amount of recharge is how useful it is. Whereas with the wind turbine, the amount of wind there is how effective it is.
Um.
Maybe we should look this up.
I was like-
Extrovert analogy. All right. Let's see. Um, no, just
Winter.
wind turbine extrovert. Let's see. Um, I'm not finding any Google results. This is
Well, okay. I'm sorry. This might sound kind of dumb, but what's a wind turbine?
So, like if you're in the Midwest and you see those like super tall white fans, it's just like
Ah,
collecting wind energy.
oh,
But it only collects
okay.
energy when there's wind.
So it's like you have to keep it going. Oh, okay. Like you have to keep it going, like with the wind,
Once it gets going,
with
it doesn't stop until
okay, got it, got it. Yeah, I guess so. That's pretty accurate. Like like when the wind comes over, like
oh, you need an external motivation or a movement to get going. Yeah.
yes, okay, yes, that is yes.
Yeah, I could sit there and do nothing for days and then like something gets me excited and I can't stop.
That does actually make sense. I think I use the example. I say like bulldoze, but that makes more sense actually. It's like a yeah, like when the energy comes in, you can't help but it keeps you rolling and you can't stop. Yeah.
But bulldoze does like kind of encapsulate what I imagine all my SE Dom coworkers to
Yeah.
kind of be like when they have something that they want accomplished, they will do nothing to stop from getting what they want.
Right. Yeah. I think it's different from TE in that TE is a little bit more strategic. I don't know if like TE, there's some kind of an organization. And the thing is with TE, they don't even do the work themselves, to be honest, sometimes. Like I feel like they're really good at like creating systems that organize, even when it comes to using people like resources. But I feel like with
Mm.
SE, it's not like that. With SE, it's like you want to almost like do it all. Like you have the energy in you to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like my ESFP coworker, she literally can't get away from work sometimes because she's just like always wanting to be there and be involved. But she's
Yeah.
also incredibly good at getting other people to do like their piece of the puzzle,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
seems more like an ENTJ or INTJ kind of ability to be able to like get people to do certain things in order to make everything work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a little level of like FE in there too, I guess.
Someone put a thumbs down. Rude. Everyone else should put a thumbs up to fix that. That's rude. I thought both were batteries. One is recharged by peace and isolation, and the other is recharged by company and activity. I don't know if I think of my energy levels as being like a battery.
Yeah, because the battery would incline. Yeah, because with the battery, you would have to like actually stop and recharge. But
Recharge game.
yeah, I don't really see it either.
It's more like a wind down toy
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And just
That's yeah. I get that better. Yeah.
yeah, not
Interesting.
a, I don't know if I ever I mean I like alone time because I like being able to focus and not being distracted, but
Right. Yeah.
uh so what got you into doing typing sessions? How did that get started?
Well, just because I mean, I kind of know the ins and outs of it. I know what a mistyped person looks like. I know kind of the red flags in it.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so I was like, you know what? If anybody has an open mind about this, it's probably me. And then on top of that, I also believe that if you're gonna do a typing session, you also have to be typed correctly yourself. I mean, that's just my observation, but it's like in order to provide that kind of a service, you need to be able to understand the mechanism in yourself. So once I got that understanding, and then once I started to read the books, and once I started to understand the terminology and things like that, that's what gave me a little bit more confidence to do so. And yeah, there really is no other deeper answer than that. I wish I could provide one.
You
I
don't
just
have to
got
provide.
started. And, yeah, I mean, sometimes with these types of questions, I'm like, I don't know. I just got started. Like,
I just did it.
I'm trying to give this long, elaborate explanation.
But you said something that I now need to know. What are the telltale signs or like the red flags of people who are mistyped?
Probably ones who identify way too much with their type. That's kind of a red flag that they're mistyped. Or people that give specific or too much specific examples of being a certain type. Like they'll bring up a lot of like past experiences of when they were that type. Let's see. Oh, probably their explanation of the cognitive functions is not as accurate. And another one is if they told me they took it on 16 personalities. That is already like, yeah, I mean, it sounds funny, but it's just like, yeah, like a lot of the times,
No,
like that's already like, yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 16 personality test. Okay, great. So you think that you're an introvert. Okay, great. That's helpful.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I hear that, those kinds of things, I'm like, I don't really know. Yeah.
So why do you think it is that people who have over-identified with a specific type are mistyped?
Because I think they're holding onto it too much as if it's their identity. So I kind of have to question that maybe you are pulling up specific repeated experiences to validate your type. Because as soon as you're identifying too much with that type, pretty much you can pull up any experience in your past and you will be that type. Right. So it's like if I identify too much as an INTJ or whatever, for example, I will really remember, I can remember every single cognitive function of an INTJ and think of a time in which I used it. So when people kind of do that, like where they know, I just know I'm an INTJ kind of thing, like that's a little bit like, and then when you dig into it, they will talk about specific experiences. For example, like the more common ones will be like, because they'd be like, I used to like drink a lot when I was really stressed. And I'm like, those kinds of things, I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. Like, doesn't everybody though? Like,
yeah.
like those types of examples or situations, I'm a little like, I don't necessarily think that means INTJ or whatever. Yeah.
And so what kind of things do you do to uncover how they define the different cognitive functions?
I'll ask them like various questions about their day to describe themselves, how other people would describe them. I'll give them like a few like interactive tests as well. So like word association is a common one, or I will ask them to come up with a specific memory or like, yeah, things like that. Just more interactive things and try to get what cognitive functions they're using. I also use shadow functions too. So it's funny because in a lot of these typing sessions, their shadow functions come out a lot. Like when they're like really critiquing something, it's really evident in their speech. Like all of a sudden their demeanor will change and just be like, oh my God, I freaking hate when like people, like that kind of stuff. It's really interesting to pick up like, oh, wow, that's a very like interesting function that they decided to talk about themselves without me asking about it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So like their unprompted kind of like self-evaluation, or does it have to be self? Could it be other people? Just like like a judgment, like just being overly judging or something, or?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's like they will talk about like, oh my God, I just hate like this person in my life. Like she's just so like not authentic. Like they'll get really like just like their demeanor will really change when you trigger those questions. And I just always think those types of reactions are the most interesting. Yeah. And it's kind of fun picking up those like shadow functions and then kind of flipping it on them and being like, do you even notice you do that? And they're like, oh no, I never thought of it that way. Like I just think that's pretty fun. Yeah.
So what does the conversation go like when you have to break it to somebody that they're completely mistyped?
Well, most people are okay with it. I would say that there are certain types that don't want to be that type. That's probably the hardest one. That's when they'll like usually like, like I'm going to get another opinion, which is fine, which is totally fine. But it's not telling them that they're mistyped that's difficult. It's more like when you tell them that you're mistyped plus you're this particular type that not many people want to be. Like ESFP is probably a big one, right? Like nobody wants to be an ESFP.
Why?
I mean, I don't think anybody wants to be a sensing type in general. Or SI users, that's another hard one to type. Because most people would be like, no, I'm definitely intuitive. Like, no, so yeah, it's hard. But one thing I like to do is like, I do like to remain authentic in my answers. So I would rather tell them the truth and have them get another opinion than lie to them and
Right.
validate. Yeah. At least I can stand by my reasons. Yeah.
And how long do those sessions usually take?
I try to keep it at an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's an hour basically. Every once in a while it'll like leak a lot, like if they really don't want to be a certain type. Yeah, I think the longest I may have had was like over 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was just like they were wanting me to like test them extra on certain
Okay.
things. Yeah, because they just really were not, they did not want to be that type. Yeah, those are always awkward.
Man,
Yeah.
what can we do to make people be more open-minded to all the types? Maybe it's just because like the way MBTI YouTube started, it was more of like, especially NF types were like
Mhm.
really prevalent, because they're all like nerding out because they just like people and psychology naturally, and they're just like, oh yeah, look at all these other nerds that are into the same stuff as me, cool. Um,
Yep.
and I
Yeah,
guess maybe that just like accidentally created a bias.
like unicorn syndrome, like
Yeah.
they want to be that special one. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I used to be one of them. That's why it's easier for me to type people. It's because I know I used to be one of them too. So I totally agree with that. And I know how it feels to be on the other end of that, to be told like you're an ESFP. So yeah,
So, real talk, do you feel like there are YouTubers out there that are this typed?
I would say honestly, yeah. Like I don't think I can lie about that. Like there definitely are.
Care to name drop? No.
No, like, no.
I know it's such a tenuous thing.
I
Because that
know.
is like where
Yeah,
the most toxic comments come in, or like, you're not this type because X, Y, and
yeah.
Z. I don't relate to you, therefore you are mistimed.
I understand. I know. I personally don't participate in those kinds of like conversations.
Just some sense of
Censors are definitely great. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
They make me feel less than
ISTJs.
sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. I think like another thing that I really like about sensing people that I think there's this like misconception of is that sensory sensing types are not creative. I do
Oh
not like
yeah,
that stereotype. That is
that's
so
really annoying.
untrue. Yeah, because sensing types, to be honest with you, are the ones that actually like create physical things. They're the ones that are actually like doing the thing. So it's like it's kind of weird how like 16 personalities and all these online tests are like, are you creative or are you boring? And it's
Yeah, I
like
know.
the boring ones are the sensing types.
Do you live your life to please other people? You are ISFJ.
Yeah. I like that accent. Yeah.
No, they make it seem real bad to be either of the SFJs. Like, just do all you do is give to other people and never expect anything else back. SFJ.
Yeah.
Like, there couldn't be people pleasers among every single type. That's
I know.
more
It's so
trauma
true.
related.
Yeah. Sounds like personal problems.
So you said that you're not into fiction. What is it about fiction that you dislike?
I mean, that it's not real. I don't, it's just like, okay, like, it's just like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just not tangible or something. I don't know.
Mm.
Like, I always knew this about myself. Was like, when it comes to like Harry Potter, I'm going to get a lot of hate. Like, Harry Potter, like, no. Like, I just, Lord of the Rings, no. Just like dude, like I just like I can't, like how is
It's so funny because every SE dominant that I've ever talked to is like, yeah, I don't like fiction.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, like it's like I just can't watch it first. Yeah, no, which is so weird because to be honest with you, I love Disneyland. Like I love Disneyland, for example, right? But I like the park, but not the like. I don't really like. I'm not a fan of the movies or anything like that. But I like the park. You know, I think that's pretty fun. Like, so
That is just absolute sacrilege.
because like I really like Disneyland, and people always come up to me like, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this movie?" And I'm like, "No."
Fake fan,
Yeah,
fake
I'm
fan.
like, no, I said I like the park, not like the movies itself. But yeah, I think it's really just that if I can't see it, it's hard for me to like engage with. Yeah, but
So,
interestingly, if it's like, oh, well, I shouldn't say if it's popular because all the movies I mentioned are popular. But I was gonna say if I have to be like in the know, maybe I will. Yeah.
okay, what have you watched so that you can stay in the know, even though you had no desire to watch it?
Okay, like Star Wars. I've seen the first movie,
Okay,
like
the one
half.
movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
like the half. Oh, Harry Potter. I've seen like the Azkaban one or whatever. Is
Okay.
that not okay? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I've seen like I feel like those movies, like you know, you could kind of engage in a conversation. You should probably know about it, right? So I've seen those. Anything beyond that, I no.
So what were you thinking like while you were watching Harry Potter?
I was thinking like, oh, Hermione cut her hair, or like, like I was like, oh, like she doesn't have the hair anymore, or like, yeah, things like that, I guess. Yeah. Well, I will say, I think the third movie was a little bit more interactive when it came to like the love story aspect of it.
Mm.
I think I don't even know what I'm talking about. But like the more reality or like relatable things there are, I can watch it. Yeah. So it was just like
Okay.
the wizards part, like not much, but like you know if there's like more like action or like a story behind it, you know, yeah.
Like something that is somewhat realistic. So like
Real, yeah.
would you watch like I don't know, like something like I'm trying to think of an action movie and I clearly don't watch action movies. Top Gun, that's an
Oh
old one.
really? Oh yeah, I watch. Yeah, I've seen Top Gun. I like Tom Cruise actually. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
Like the kind of movies that he's in.
yeah. Like Top Gun's one of. I've seen a lot of like Tom Cruise movies, but just particular to him. Like I've seen like even like the old school. I don't know if anybody knows this, but like Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Like
Oh.
y'all don't know Tom Cruise if you have not seen that movie. You
Oh
know,
wow.
like so like if it's particularly like if, with him, like yeah, I've seen his movies. Yeah.
So you've seen Vanilla Sky.
Okay, yeah, no, but I know what that is.
Oh. I can imagine why you haven't watched that one. It's a little bit out there.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. I know
Yeah,
what that
no,
is though.
yeah, it's out there. There was something I was gonna follow up with on that, and now I've lost my train of thought.
I can relate to this comment. Yeah.
The wasting
It-
time.
yes, like it's like unless it ties into this is actually explained perfectly. If it unless it ties into like a real world theme, it's really hard to keep my attention on it. That's a really good way to explain it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So do you watch reality TV?
Yes, I do actually.
What's your favorite reality TV show?
Okay, not gonna lie, I really liked watching it. This is kind of old, but like the Bad Girls Club. I don't know,
Oh
like
my
growing
God.
up.
My little sister loved that stuff too so much.
Oh my god! So like Loki. Okay, this is like so like trashy, but like Loki, I was like, I could be on that show if I really tried.
That show is like full of ESFPs.
I was like, I could do that. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like. Well, I feel like now with like all these like streaming, you know, platforms, there's not as many like reality TV shows as much. I feel, but like, I did think like back then, like when I was like, I don't know, a little bit younger, like I was like, oh, I could be in a reality TV show. I'd be really good at that. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Do you watch like documentaries or anything like that, or like true crime or anything along those lines?
I do like, yeah, like Criminal Minds actually. Criminal Minds and Law and Order SVU. Those are like my two I could watch like all the time. That's like, it gets really dark though. I always get nightmares when I watch that, but it's like pretty
Oh,
cool.
no.
Like, Yeah, I like watching those documentaries. I do watch documentaries somewhat. Like I like it's kind of old, but like Blackfish and like those types
Mm.
of documentaries. I think it's pretty eye opening, actually.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah.
What's it about?
Oh, it's the SeaWorld one, where it's
Oh,
like talks about, yeah, it talks about like animal captivity in SeaWorld.
oh wow.
And
That sounds
yeah,
like
it's
a heavy topic.
yeah, but me being a sensing type, so like this is absolutely horrible. So I had to see for myself. And so like I went to SeaWorld and like when I saw it, it was more real to me. Like when I like saw the things that the documentary was talking about, and I actually went and I saw like the um, whales were definitely mistreated. Yeah, it was like huge eye opening experience. Yeah.
Mm. So, I mean, besides having a YouTube channel, what are some of your like big dreams for your life or like some things that you like wish you could do?
Um, it's kind of a personal thing. I'm like manifesting at some point, but I would eventually like to get into music, which is like a really
Mm.
like not really like me, but that's something that like before like my life ends, I would have wanted to do something in music, which
Mm.
is yeah.
Do you have an
It's just because
instrument in mind?
no, not necessarily, but I do sing. So it's
Mhm.
like I kind of talked about this in my own channel, but when it comes to anything that has to do with like performance related or like talent related, my parents like really quickly at a like young age shut it out of me. Like
Interesting.
um yeah, growing up, I was always like in talent shows, like dancing and singing and stuff, and I really liked that. I like being in theater and things. But my parents like really like just like shut that out of my life. They're like, that is not a thing.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I think in Asian cultures, especially like basically in Asian cultures, if you're in anything entertainment related, it's like borderline like porn. Like it's like the adult industry to
Oh
them. Like
wow.
it's just yeah, it's just you don't do that. Like you really just don't do that. So like they really was like they were like no. So there's this part of me that even to this day I'm kind of like I would like to at least try to explore that side.
Hmm.
So that is something I have like that is like way far into the future, but
One
yeah,
day you'll be singing
it's a one
something
day
somewhere.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a one day thing. But I like to think that if I put it into the universe, it'll like be there.
Yeah. Well, there's
Yeah.
like I found a whole area of TikTok recently, which is just like people doing layer harmony songs, which are really
Mm,
cool. And I
mm.
just could watch those forever because even if it's like the same song just by different people, I can watch those forever.
Really, I'm not
And
on
it's
that
only like a
TikTok.
minute. It's only
Oh,
like a
yeah,
minute or 3 minutes,
yeah,
and it's not long. And then
that's
they can
cool. I mean,
play
it's just
music.
about yeah. For me, it's just about kind of like putting myself out there and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, I feel
But
that.
well, yeah. But I guess at the same time, I really don't like thinking about those kinds of like things either because it like kind of scares me in a weird way. Like
Mm.
it's intimidating. Yeah.
Oh, like it's like sharing a piece of yourself, like something that you really care about.
It's not something I care about. I think that like anything related to the future, I don't really like to talk out loud.
Oh.
Weirdly enough, it's like something like that kind of like either embarrasses me because I don't have like a detailed explanation of what I want to do. Yeah, I was talking to this like ENTJ. It was right after like a typing session, and she was like an ENTJ, and she's like the kind of girl like she'll like straight up ask me like she's like, okay, so what are you trying to do with your YouTube channel? Like, and I'm just like I don't know. Like I just, I mean, I have like numbers in mind and things like that, but those kinds of conversations when it's sprung on me is very like, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. Yeah.
Hmm. Man. So, did you ever like get anxiety as a kid, like when everyone's like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?"
Yeah. Because not only was it always changing, but it was just like there are things that I wanted to do that I really couldn't articulate into words.
Mm,
Right. So even right now, as I talk about like, well, one day I want to like get into like music or whatever. Now that I understand typology, I understand my insecurities when it comes to the future. So it's
mhm,
easier for me to put it into words. But before, when I didn't understand that, it was always like that. It was just so shameful to either talk about the future or I guess like not know the future as well as most people do.
mm,
So um yeah, yeah, it was kind of intimidating.
mm. Yeah, that sounds like well, I guess we all have our stressor areas, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever we are thinking about. Like for me, like the future is really exciting because there's so many different ways that it could go, and like there's all these
Mm.
endless possibilities for what could be the future. And like sometimes I wonder, did I take a wrong step in the past and make it impossible to have a specific future? That could stress me out actually.
Oh, that's
Uh,
actually really scary. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't think about it that way.
Yeah, I was like,
Don't.
I was like, oh my god, that is so like scary. Like the fact that I might have just done something in the past that just like clearly, yeah, like never thought of it that way.
Yeah. No, welcome to the ENFP brain. Did I mess something up in the past? And
Oh no.
a closed off possibility. There's nothing worse. Um,
Hmm. Oh.
there's nothing worse. So, you said like early on in our conversation that you're not normally into like the more like I don't know how to say it, like more theoretical stuff, I guess. But
Mhm.
like for
Yeah.
some reason, you're really drawn to MBTI. What do you think it is about MBTI that makes it more digestible or intriguing to you?
I think it's a practical tool, to be honest. I probably don't. I'm not the kind of person that can like talk theory for like hours regarding it. So like if you were to debate me on a type or something, I probably cannot provide you any reasons for doing so. But I do think it's a good tool to help you. It certainly has helped me. And so once I saw the practicality of it, that's when I latched onto it. And
Mhm.
with my TE, I can kind of like do my own research into it. So it's not too far fetched for me.
Mhm.
But you're right in that when it comes to the intellectual part or like the conversations, that's where I definitely struggle. I'm like, don't care about it that much. Like, like, yeah, like the TI users are very quick to, like, for example, they'll be very quick to be like, well, Carl Jung, like, he wasn't always right, so let's break apart his, like, text and see what, yeah, like, no, like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, that's where, like, I kind of leave the chat. Like, no.
uh, Same, but for other reasons.
I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I can't keep up with that either, but for other reasons, because I just know those kind of people are the ones that like catch you saying something that's inconsistent with something that you said earlier and like make it like blown
Yes.
out into like this
Yep.
huge thing. And you're like, okay, so I contradicted myself. Let's just like move on. Why can't both be right? And they're like, both just cannot be
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think that's like a TI thing because I'm the exact same way. Like when I get into these conversations, I've noticed is like I'll say something that completely contradicts what I said before or something, but it's genuinely because I'm just saying what I feel in the moment,
Right.
and I'm just trying to have that impact with you. And I just hate when people like latch onto that and they're like, but like no, no, I will not engage with that.
So how do you experience the INTJ subconscious?
Um, well, I'm not really like familiar with like the terminology, but I've seen enough like C.S. Joseph. I can kind of okay. So like, I think it's like it comes out when I need to be a little bit more strategic about the way I do things. So, for example, if I really have a vision, let's say, right, that I want my channel to be 10K at the end of the year, um, that kind of intensity does come in where it is there. It's just not my I guess my dominant functions. But that focus is definitely there, and I will try to do everything in my power to make sure that vision comes to a reality. That's kind of how I experience it, and to this day, I think that's why I'm still alive. Is that like once I really latch on to what I want to do, it'll happen, and I have the confidence in that.
No stopping an SE Dom once they've decided
Yeah,
they want
yeah.
something. That's that's just a lesson for all people who don't know SE DOMs. Just don't get in their way because they will get what they want.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yep. That's so true. Especially because, like, I think with both TI and FI, like ESTPs and ESFPs, like, I feel like with any type that has that, like, identity function, it's really intense because it's almost like their decisions are just so embedded in that identity or their vision. Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Your identity is wrapped into your vision. I never like
Yeah.
thought about it that way, but that makes a lot of sense because I would say my identity comes from the person that I've been, and that's always been like a frustration for me because like even when I change, people
Mm.
like are still latched onto the person that I've been. But I guess that's probably me projecting.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that okay, so you were saying that you haven't changed as a person, I guess, from like the past, like your identity's always remained pretty stable, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean like I might make a choice to be interested in something else and or like want to work on something else and people or even just like want to interact with people a different way, but because of their experience with the way that I've been in the past, like they won't be able to accept this new way of me behaving.
Oh, okay, okay. I never thought of it that way, or I never had that kind of a um past recollection, or like I never even like think about the past as much in that sense. Yeah. There's like a part of me that was like, could I possibly be an ENFP? But I think that is definitely like a difference is that like I noticed like when you speak, like you tend to have a lot of like past references, and then versus like also like your future is so exciting to you. Like it's like this like back and forth. But that's something that I don't relate to as much, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, but I think that it's a an interesting insight that you would say that your introverted judging function with the NI makes you
Mhm.
tied to your future vision
Yeah,
as
future
your
vision. Yeah.
identity. Whereas,
Yep.
and then I'm guessing like the introverted judging function with the SI is more identity focused on your past
Yeah.
and the experiences that you've been through. That's fascinating. And now I'm going to have to like go gather a bunch of information from people.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. I never even meant that when I like said it in that way, but yeah, it's so true. It's like, yeah, it's like so tied into my vision is tied to me that I think that's what gives it maybe that intensity towards the future. I'm not sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, are there any words of advice you have for people in general that you would like to say to kind of like close out our conversation?
Um, I will say if you can, it's a little corny, but I would say if you can just do what you love, everything else will follow. So as long as you know yourself, as long as you want to do what you want, all the everything else in life, all your struggles, all your like anything will just kind of merge into one and make that happen. You can make it happen. Yeah.
I need to take that advice.
I mean, I talk like I know what the hell I'm talking about. Like, who is she? Like girl, you don't want. Like, let's be real. But like right now, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll check back in like 3 months' time. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see where that went.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I first of all want to thank everyone who's hung out with us and gotten this chance to engage with Miss Aimee. Woo!
Yes. Hello.
And I want to thank you, Aimee, so much for coming onto the channel and sharing your experience. I think that we need more representation from more sensors in this community so that people can be more accepting that they are sensors because it doesn't matter what your type is. MBTI is a tool that everyone can use to better engage with people around you and realize like not everyone looks at the world the same way. And if we're a little bit
Yeah.
more accommodating of the ways that other people engage with information, then we can all be more successful as human beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well said. Yes. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. And everyone else, I hope that you have a beautiful, amazing, fantastic day. Bye-bye.
Bye.